Alright guys, good evening and welcome back. If you are new to the channel, please click on the subscribe button. If you are a returning subscriber, please click on the like button, give it a thumbs up, and then also share to your friends and welcome them to this channel. This is where we'll be sharing live sewing illustrations and videos on male clothing. Right here I have already cut my outfit, and then I want to just show us how you can actually make a simple outfit with similar design, and then guide us on some basic or some tricks you can use to achieve a perfect finishing or perfect sewing. So guys, let's get down to the sewing proper. Alright, here I have my pockets which I have already cut. Now the chest measurement is a factor to decide or to know how many inches pocket you have. The chest line I have is a chest line of 42. I have my pocket to be at 3.8, 4 inches maximum for a chest line that is not above 43-44. Then the width, the length is 6.5. You can make yours to be 5.5 or 6 depending on how you want the depth to be. Bear in mind you must have gummed with your cloth gum and fold to your desired measurements. Then the flap, this is a normal flap. The cutting was at 4 inches, and then the folding, after folding I have 1.2, 1.3 left, right? And then this is a small design that will be placed at the center panel of the front, and then the finishing I have here is width of 3 inches by the length of your choice, but then don't make the length to be equal with the flap. So I have the length here to be at length of 14 or thereabout, 14.3, 14.5, and then the flap length as well is must be longer than the other flap. I have it to be at 18.5. Then I have my bias, which I have made a previous video on how to form your bias, and then use your hemming gum to hem accordingly. This is how your bias should look like. The down base should be a bit wider than the one on top. Try to check the video on how to gum and fold or prepare your outfit for further information. Then for the sleeves, this is a normal short sleeve which I have illustrated to us on how to cut and prepare it as well. Then for the back facings and for the front block, everything must be ironed. If you take a look at this, you see how I took my time to cut and prepare them. These foldings will help you to achieve a perfect finishing or a perfect sewing. Let's get down to the sewing proper. Alright, so now you take the small facing or however you want to do it, but this is just the design I want to have. Then put at the wrong side inside. I have always illustrated how to achieve something like this, but then most of us still find it difficult to carry it out. Then bear in mind that you must make sure that the points must tally. The center lines of this must tally with the center line of this. Then fold it the same way, and then you stitch from here. Now this stitch will be at the depth of 6 inches, right? 6 inches, that's the maximum or the minimum rather. You can do 6 inches. So you stitch all through to that point, and then when you get to that point you place it this way, and then you make 1, 2, 3 or 2 movements of the machine needle that way, and then you come up a bit, you come up again from that point, and then this is how you do it. Then make sure that you slit at the midpoint of your sewn line. Now this slitting is very important as well, right? Then give it a V notch at this point. Give it a V notch at this point, and then after that you push this one to the front, right? To the front this way. It comes out in this form. Then after which you hold it firmly this way, hold it firmly this way, and then you stitch from this point as well, stitch from here as well, and then you stitch from the tip of the facing, stitch from the tip of the facing, right? Stitch from here this way, and make sure it's sewn at the tip. Must be tip enough, right? Must be tip enough. Then stitch from here, stitch all through, and then you stitch all through, stitch all through. Then after which you stitch the down part. Now the beauty of your sewing will be when you learn how to stitch tip to tip. Now this tip to tip is going to give you a perfect finishing and give your outfit a more better result, right? Now there are some rare cases where you might want to stitch half an inch away, there's no problem. But then on regular sewing, if you must learn the crafts of stitching the tip of the folded fabric or the facing or wherever you are stitching, right? It adds beauty to your clothes. So you make sure you stitch all through to this point. Then you might decide as well to stitch inside of your slitted point. Now stitch at the tip as well. It's optional though, but then if you stitch it as well, it will help you to relax the edges properly this way. So you can still stitch here this way and as well stitch here, and this stitching as well helps to reinforce the edges so that they'll be strong enough it won't easily pull off. Then after you must have done that, the next you will do now is to stitch your flap or to attach your flap. Now this flap I use hemming gum to hold it together and make sure that the width area must face towards the direction, and then hold these two places together and make sure it's placed at the midpoint at the center, and make sure that the gap coming out from here and this point, they are equal, right? It's very important as well. Make sure that they're equal, and then you hold them together this way. But then before you stitch this, you might decide to run a fancy thread on the flap, 1/4 inch off from the tip of the flap. It helps to give it a kind of a thread design, right? It's called a decorative stitch on the flap. You can decide to do this, or you might decide not to do it, there's no problem. But then I'll encourage you to do it as well. Then stitch all through this point. I'm using the machine foot. I'm lapping the edge of the flap at the edge of the machine foot, right? Then after this, now there's still another one you might want to stitch. Now the one that we stitch that will be at the edge of the opening from the flap point 6 inches down this way. Then you stitch from there, and then you stitch up as well. It's very, very important, right? You stitch up as well. Then this is optional though, but I think it helps. It increases your finishing and gives you a better result, so you can just decide to be doing it always. Then cut your threads perfectly well. Cut your thread perfectly well this way, and then you bring the front bodice as you have already drafted it. Then place inwards from here, and then you make sure you lap it properly this way. And then once it's properly lapped, then you can now stitch from here, right? You can see how fine it is already looking on our outfit, and this is how yours as well should be. Anything less than this is not acceptable by us Redefined family. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please kindly subscribe. The subscription helps me to be happy and know that people are watching my channel, and it gives me more courage to do more videos and teach us as well, right? So some of us might still want to access my Telegram classes. It's still ongoing. If you're interested, send me a message with the number I will attach on the description box of this particular video. Then you can cut off the flap to the length you so desire now, and then cut the underneath one. The essence of doing this is to make sure that it's not too strong or too stiff for you to fold, right? So you can just take your time to do this. Open it up, and then you slit the under. You cut off the under this way, cut the under this way, and then cut it out, and then fold it to retain the same V shape, or you might decide to do otherwise. There's still no problem. Then you stitch all through. Now for some of us that are already sending in their works on WhatsApp classes, on WhatsApp number, showing me what they were able to achieve from my videos, please, you guys should keep it up, and practice always. Practice makes more perfect, right? So just try to practice them always, and then you achieve whatever you want to do when you put your mind in it. for some of us that are using their data to watch these videos, you can decide to be using their data to watch these videos from midnight, because they have midnight data gifts from all network providers, right? So you can just decide to program yourself to know. Then when you are stitching, make sure that you don't exceed the point of your 6 inches opening at this point. So you just stitch and get to that point, and then end it to however design you want to have on your flap. Then you can decide to make it to the block or square, however you want to do it. There's no problem. Then after doing this, now you cut your threads this way, cut your thread this way, and then you bring your pockets. Now this pockets, so the pocket is being positioned at when you push out 2 inches from the shoulder point, then place it at 0.9 or 0.9.5. now because of the fact we have this particular design, we might not need to push it away from the flap again, so just flap it at the edge of the ending. Then since you have double threaded the flap, double thread the pocket as well for conformity, right? Then you make sure you double thread the pocket as well for conformity and for unity, right? Then thread it this way, and then thread here as well this way, thread here as well this way, and then thread here as well this way. Then once you are done doing this, then you cut off your threads properly, and then you can now attach the pocket perfectly well at your position, at your choice of position, right? Then place 2 inches away from the shoulder, and then 0.9 inches or 9.5. Then once you hold it properly, then you start from here to stitch. All right, so you push out 2 inches here, then place the pocket at 0.9 or 0.9.5. then from there lap it properly at the edge of this black facing, and then stitch again this way, stitch again this way, stitch properly, right? Then make sure that it's lapping perfectly this way. Make sure this one as well is lapping perfectly this way again. Then everything must lap uniformly, right? So stitch and lap uniformly this way. Then after this, now the next thing you will do now is to attach the back to the front. So in this Ankara, I did not bother attaching the facing. All I did was to, all right, so now once you have finished fixing your pockets, now the next you do now is attach the back facing, back bodies to the shoulder. So you now bring your label, so you now bring a label. Now this label, like I told us some videos I made, I can help you achieve this or get this. Now this is called a woven label. I think I made mine for 1,000 pieces for 40,000 naira or thereabout. So if you're interested to get this label, you can contact me. I will also help you achieve or get the label. Then fold the label into 2 equal parts this way, and then the label will be positioned at 3 inches down from the neck depth this way. Then fold into 2 equal parts, and then you make sure you position it at 3 inches or 2.5 inches down from the neck depth, and then you stitch all right round the label. So if you're interested to get the label, you can contact me. I will webbill it to you wherever you are, once you are able to foot the bills of the cost of label and the production and the web bill, right? So stitch all through to this point. Right, so stitch all through to this point, and then once you are able to stitch all through to this point, then you cover here, and then you bring your back piece, you bring your back facing at this point. So you bring your back measurement, back body. All right, so you bring your back piece this way, and then take the front piece and place on top. Now take the back facing, place the right side to the right side of the front block, place it together this way, hold the shoulder area very well. The 3 pieces must be equal, hold it very well this way, and then you sew Now the sewing must be half an inch all through, right? Must be half an inch all through. From there you stitch half an inch all through, then you stitch all through down this way. So when you have gotten to this stage, then you cut a thread as well, and then you hold the other shoulder, the other part of the shoulder as well, then hold this all up together this way, and then hold this one as well, then stitch as well half an inch all through. Make sure you retain the same measurements while you are stitching. Make sure you retain the same measurements while you are stitching. Very important as well. Then after this, the next you will do now is to stitch as well. The 3 pieces must be together, right? It must be held together. Then after which you cut your thread as well. Then make sure you fold. You now bring back the back piece into the back this way, and then you hold it properly. Hold it properly, and then you stitch from here. Now make sure you remove any excesses, any air coming out. Then make sure that the back facing center line ironing is corresponding with the back piece ironing, right? These 2 lines must correspond. On no account should it go the other way around. These 2 lines must correspond. That's the trick to achieve a perfect finishing, a perfect sewing on your outfit. Then once you must have done this, now you stitch the shoulder, and then you can decide to give it a 1/4 inch sewing or half an inch away from this. So let me give it a 1/4 inch sewing, then stitch properly, and then you start sewing, then making sure that the 2 lines are corresponding. Very important as well. So you stitch all through from here to this point, and then bring it out this way again, and then you stitch, and then you top stitch the shoulder. Now the reason for for you to do that is for you to have a perfect realization on the shoulder area. So you top stitch the shoulder, right? So you just top stitch from here this way, and then run it across the shoulder point this way as well. Then once you are able to do this, you must have gotten to end of your sewing, and then you also top stitch the other one as well. Then just continue from here, and then top stitch as well. Then make sure that your top stitching is at the tip of the shoulder, right? Please, very important as well. It gives you a perfect finishing. Then after that, then you now cross check your neck measurement you have, and then before you pipe the neck of your outfit, then let's check the neckline we have. So the neckline I have for my outfit is a neckline of 16.5. So now you measure the circumference of your customer's neck now on the outfit, then cross check the whole correspondence, make sure that they are tallying. After which, if it's not tallying, you now trim the neckline from the back piece, right? Don't deepen it from the front, trim from the back piece, and then trim your shoulder to give you exact of a shoulder plus extra half an inch, and then come back, fix your sleeves, and then pipe your neck. I will do this now and come back and show you before we proceed. Alright, so now I have finished trimming my neckline, and I have trimmed my shoulder as well. So the shoulder I have trimmed now is giving me exact of my customer's shoulder plus extra half an inch to join the sleeves, and then the neckline is giving me exact of what I have for my measurement, right? Then you start piping your neck. Open up the pipes, the bias material this way, open it up this way, and then make sure it's properly opened, and then fold this one inwards this way, and then hold one of the edges, and then you start to pipe or tape, depending on how you want to call it. You see the same thing. Then make sure it's properly inserted, and the beginning must be neatly finished, right? Then start from here to start piping your neckline this way. take your time to arrange it properly, right? Then once you are done doing that, you now start piping your neck. So once you pin it properly, and then you hold the neckline, make sure that this neck edge is properly inserted inside to the extreme of the folding. Don't place it at the tip this way. It will make the piping to have breaking or breakages, and then it will not be smooth as well. Then make sure it's properly inserted inside very well this way, and then you start from there to pipe your neck. Then you take your time as well, then start it properly. Go gradually, right? Don't be in a haste. Don't be in a haste at all. Take your time. Go gradually. Don't be in a haste. Go gradually this way, and then you start from here. So when you get to the last part of the bias or the neckline, you also fold the same way the beginning was folded, right? So make sure it's properly inserted, and then you cut the excess bits, leaving like half an inch for the folding. Then you fold as shown. You fold it as shown this way. You fold it as shown. Then make sure that the edges are properly tucked in, and then you stitch as well. Then after this, you now top stitch the edge of the bias so that it will lap properly. You might decide to give it a one line sewing or a double line, however be the case. Then you start top stitching from here this way. You start top stitching from here this way. Make sure that your top stitching is straight enough and smooth enough, right? Take your time to do this. So we are going to do our 3-line sewing on the bias. It helps to relax the outfit as well, the material on the neckline as well. Then after you must have done this now, the next you will do as well is to cut out the threadings. Make sure that your threadings are properly cut. It helps to give your outfit a nice finishing. Cut them out properly as much as they are. Cut them off properly. Cut them off properly, right? After which you also top stitch the third one, that's the middle one. You top stitch the middle one. Make sure that you centralize the footer of your machine at the midpoint of your biased material. Top stitch properly, and then after which we will now fix our sleeves, and then iron out the neckline properly as well. Sleeve, I have already folded the sleeve. I put hemming gum under. Now the essence of this hemming gum is to give the outfit a nice feeling or texture at the edge this way. Now in as much as you have already hemmed, you also top stitch because of the Ankara. But if it's senator material, you leave it without top stitching, right? So this hemming is just to give it a brisk feeling at this edge. Then you top stitch at the tip of the fabric unfold this way, and then make sure that your hands is straight enough. Top stitch all through from there to this point. Then you might decide to run it a double threading or a singular threading, however be the case. Then if you're putting double threading, you start from here, then lap the footer of the machine at the edge of the first thread you have sewn, and then you sew. So from here you make sure you sew from here, right? Your stitching must be straight enough and smooth enough. Then if you decide if you want to top stitch the tip, it's still optional, but then I think it gives it more finishing effect as well. So you can still decide to top stitch the tip this way, and then making sure that the tip sewing as well is thick enough from that point to this point. Then this is for the tip as well. Then you cut it off this way. Then you will do the same thing on the other sleeve. I will do it and show you how the result looks like. Alright, so now you start fixing your sleeves. After, you must have double threaded at the base of the hem area of the sleeve, right? So this threading comes out better when you must have added hemming gum under. You see how brisk and nice it's looking, right? Now you must make sure that hemming gum is properly used, because that hemming gum is the powerhouse of every sewing you are doing. So now you notch the sleeve this way and then attach it on the notch point as well. Bear in mind that you must have trimmed your shoulder before doing this. Then the two notches will face each other this way, and then you start attaching your sleeve on the outfit. Then hold the sleeve in a way that you'll be stretching the sleeve a bit. Add a little tension on the sleeve. Stretch the sleeve and not the main body, right? Stretch the sleeve a bit. It helps the sleeve to relax properly on the shoulder area. Then stretch the sleeve a bit. Then make sure that the two lines are corresponding while you are stretching the sleeve. And then at the end of the day, this is how you attach your sleeve perfectly well. Now make sure that you retain the same nature of sewing, or the same nature of curve on the sleeve and the body, and make sure that they are properly aligning. Then you have finished attaching the sleeve to the one part of the outfit. Then you also attach it to the back piece as well. Then make sure you cut your trace as well, very important as well. Then hold it this way. Don't forget, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please kindly click on the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so that you will get notified when I make a new video. So now this is for the outfit this way, and then you stitch it properly, and then making sure that it's coming out nicely as well. Then this is how it is. Then you stitch from here all through to this point, and then you end it up nicely, after which you repeat the same process on the other sleeve. So I will do that now and show the results. Alright guys, so now we are done fixing the sleeves and we have weaved the armhole. Then I have now marked my measurements. Now the chest of my customer I have is 42 chests. Then divide by 4, you have 10.5. Then from the center point of this outfit, you measure 10.5. You mark accordingly, or whatever chest you have, over 4. From the center point, you mark the quarter measurement. Then the round sleeve I have is round sleeve of 14. You divide by 2. From here, you mark the half. I have 14. That by 2 is 7. You mark 7. Then connect it as shown. Then from your armhole point, you mark 15 to 16 inches down. Then get the point. Then draw the line to come straight. Please make sure that the connection from the round sleeve to the chest must be straight and should not be in a curvy form. Then do this on both sleeves, on both sides of the outfit. Then you sew. Alright, so now you connect as well from there. Make sure that the connection is straight. Then make sure that the joining of the half sleeves to the body is facing the sleeve point, right? Very important as well. It helps to relax the body. Then connect all this way. Then make sure it's properly aligning, right? Connect from here to this point. Then after which, now repeat the same sewing on the other side of the body, and then make sure that the sleeve as well is properly arranged. Then after this, now the next you will do is to weave this inseam allowances and then fold the base of your outfit. Alright guys, so I hope this video must have shown us how we can do this, and then as well after folding as well I will show you the folding and then possibly show you the connection as well. Alright, so now I'm done folding the hem of the outfit. Then you make sure you first and foremost sew the damp part. Open it up this way, sew the damp part from here, and then go gradually from here. You sew it from here all through to this point. You sew all through to this point and make sure your hands are straight enough. Then after which you now sew the sides this way. You must have weaved the inside properly, right, before you start sewing or folding the down. So take it out to this point, and then from that one end you enter the other end of the outfit, right? Just do it this way. That's the best and the easiest way you can do it. Then fold from here, and then from here as well you stitch from here, stitch here properly, and then you stitch from here, and then you make sure as well you come out to this base. Then cut your thread as well. Then this thread you are cutting, you must make sure it's properly done. Then cut your threads as shown. Then fold the other parts, the other side, and then after which you now proceed to fixing of your pressing button or your fastener, however you want to call it, that's no problem. Then stitch properly as well, and then continue sewing from that end, come up a bit, and then enter the next end this way. And then after you must have done that, you have successfully finished your outfit this way. And then you stitch. So that is the end of our tutorial, and I hope this video must have helped us to see how something similar like this can be done. And then if you are not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you click on the subscribe button and then invite your friends and turn on your notification bell, so that in case anytime I make a video you can get be notified that I have posted a new video on the channel. Thank you for watching, and don't forget, this is Mr. Redefined.